Hello, I'm Debbie Simmonds with the Simmonds Lifestyles Real Estate Group. My partner, Mark Brotherton, and myself service the central Vancouver Island real estate market area, mostly the Cowichan Valley. This is our market report for the week of May 20th. First thing I want to talk about are interest rates. Interest rates are remaining static here. However, the forecast now is 0.75% decrease in interest rates between hopefully starting in June, right to the end of 2025, the Americans, sorry, full 2% for us, for Canadians over the next year and a half, and only 0.75% decrease for the Americans, not starting till January next year. So that is good for us in terms of our mortgages. However, not so good in terms of the Canadian dollar being attracted and so forth. So we've got to keep our eyes open for that one. Topic of the week. What should you do with your Airbnb business now that the government has stolen it from you and pirated your business right out from under your feet? Well, I can tell you in Mexico, Airbnb and short-term rentals are alive and well and encouraged and lucrative. There are higher margins to be made, far fewer regulations to follow. You can actually still get a return on investment when you invest in rentals in Mexico. The Mexican economy is absolutely booming. They're about to have a presidential election here on June 2nd. Looks like Claudia Sheinbaum, the former mayor of Mexico City, is the likely one to win. The incredible thing about Mexico too are the interest rates here. You can put your money in your checking account and leave it there and get 7% just in your checking account. And usually after this presidential election is over, then they'll be offering again their short-term investments, 3, 9, 6, 9, 12-month investments at 10.25%. Like the interest rates you can earn in Mexico are absolutely amazing. The profits you can make are so much better and easier to attain in Mexico on B&B and short-term rentals than in Canada and in long-term rentals. There isn't all of this legislation that makes it very unpleasant to be an owner of any sort of rental property. The economy is so strong here, it's unbelievable. I drove down this year through the northern states and saw thousands of acres of modern factories everywhere, thousands of acres of them. It was just astonishing. It was a real education as to where a lot of our middle class has gone besides China. A lot has come down here to Mexico. You can see the average Mexican family is really being uplifted. I see them out on fishing charters. You see them out at parks and in high-end restaurants and everywhere. They're doing very well. They're driving good vehicles. And the average Mexican's life has vastly improved since Canadians and Americans have started coming down and spending their money here. The average price of a new condo now in Bucerias is $850,000 US for a 2-bedroom on or near the water, which most of them are. And 28 new condo buildings went up in Bucerias just last year. There's no housing crisis here. There's no homeless. I have never seen that in my travels in Mexico. Mexican people look after themselves. They see trouble, they come and help. They don't run away. They're still have their civility, and they're very pleasant to be amongst. So I strongly encourage you that if your Airbnb business has been ruined by the government, to just adjust, sell and just buy down here and get your business going again at a much more lucrative rate anyway. So that's my thoughts on how to get a workaround for what the government has done to Airbnb business owners. Okay, I'm going to share stats with you now. Okay, here we are. Here's our for the last week in the Cowichan Valley, here are the new listings. 28 new listings. Look at all these listings, unbelievable. The most expensive one is a half-acre walk-on waterfront on Gardner Road in Saltaire, and it's listed at 1.7 million. It looks like an old house, but very, very well maintained and updated. There are 14 new sales with lower prices, all in the low price range. There was only one waterfront at 1.2 that sold this week, but all the rest were in below 800,000. There were 8. Oh, just a minute. I'll advance the pages here so you can continue to see what I'm seeing. Okay, here are there's 14 new sales. So these are new pending sales. Then we go down to, we've got 8 price decreases. And last week we saw a lot of price decreases too. So this is very indicative. When you see it like this in a stat form like this, it really hits home when you see the visual of you know, hey, these prices looks like they're going to start to come down, because this is May. And this is when our prices are the highest and our number of sales are the most. We have 16 new houses that changed hands to their new owners and 4 cancellations for the week. So there is all the stats for this week. So that's a lot of activity. But what this is really telling me when I look at this is that we're getting a lot of new listings. So our listing inventory is building and building, and which we needed. However, it's not nearly the you know, the requisite amount of sales to offset that. And that tells me that it's going to turn into a buyer's market if this trend continues, and it looks like this trend is going to continue. Okay, let's go back to our regular. Okay, yes, okay, I want to summarize Michael Campbell's notes from this week. And we talked about the employment stats last week. There were 90,000 new jobs in Canada, and I had stated that 50% of those were part-time jobs. What I learned this week is that of those 90,000 jobs, 26% of them were public sector jobs. That is not new job creation. That is vote buying by the Liberals. It's vote buying. And it costs us, taxpayers, you and me, $125,000 per person of every new public employee, including all their benefits and everything. So they just put a huge tax burden, more of a huge tax burden on us, and did not improve employment. Real employment comes from the private sector, from real investment, from real jobs and real businesses, not public workers. Okay, so that's what he touched on. And we talked about the Americans have 30-year mortgages. See, when you can't attract investment into your country, there is no sustainability. So the Americans enjoy 30-year mortgages. Can you imagine the stability that there would be in that? 5 years for us. And you can get the odd 10-year, but it's so cost prohibitive that it's not really viable, and very few people go with a 10-year. They mostly go with a 5-year. So, you know, that's sad for Canadians, because we're always, you know, worried about what's happening with the interest rates. And the reason that is that way is that we can't attract long-term investment of those people who do the mortgage lending into Canada, where the Americans can't, because there's so much more confidence in their economy than ours. So that's why that is that way. So businesses, now that the facts are setting in on capital gains, how they're changing on November 25th, a lot of developers, even more, have packed up and stopped their projects. They can see the writing on the wall, so they've stopped. And entrepreneurs are leaving Canada en masse right now. They can see that they are just not going to be viable with all these new taxes coming in. They were barely viable before, and now they can see that if, you know, either shut the doors or leave and do something else. Next year, we talked about the interest rates already. Copper went parabolic this week in price. The S&P set a new high, Standards & Poor 500, the stock market set a new high over 40,000, and gold is way up. But copper's parabolic to the extent that now at EV charging stations, which have copper in the wires, or in the plug-in, they are getting cut off and stolen. So you go to plug your car in, and there's no wire to plug in with. So that's a new trend that I just heard about this week. And Stephen Harper once said this. He said, when a population gets taxed at more than 50%, they then become slaves. We Canadians are now taxed in around 70%. So please let that percolate, because you know, it just is out of control and not fair, and I don't see how it's going to be stopped anytime soon. Anyway, thank you for listening and watching this week. We appreciate you being with us. We are very expert realtors at what we do. I have 23 years experience in all aspects of real estate. I'm a managing broker license. I've served on the Vancouver Island Real Estate Board. Please call us with any of your real estate concerns. My partner, Mark Brotherton, or myself. Mark is with, we are both with Real Broker. And please give us a call at 250-246-0708, and have a wonderful week ahead, and hope you're having a great long weekend. We are professional, caring, and kind.